They're legally covering their backs. There are just too many unknowns. Then, of course, there's the doctor who allegedly delivered Lilibet, who reportedly closed her practice just 2 weeks after the birth. That part of the story still feels incomplete. Prince William is doubling down. According to multiple sources, it's now a matter of when, not if, he strips Prince Harry and Meghan Markle of their royal titles. Harry and Meghan have never provided any evidence for that highly incendiary claim. It's not as if they haven't had the opportunity. After all, they released 6 hours of self-indulgent content on Netflix, criticizing Britain and the press over allegations of racism. Now a shocking twist is stirring major buzz within royal circles, and it has everyone talking. Reports suggest that Prince William has come across a hidden DNA file, and the details inside are raising serious questions about Meghan Markle's past. This isn't typical royal gossip. This is something catching people completely off guard. Sources claim the discovery hit harder than expected, leaving many stunned. Meghan Markle was reportedly left stunned in the moment. That kind of reaction doesn't happen without a reason. Now people are wondering what exactly was uncovered, and why it's only surfacing now. The mystery surrounding this report is drawing more attention by the minute. Could it be tied to family history, long-buried connections, or something no one saw coming? The situation is already sparking intense curiosity, and every new detail seems to make it even more unbelievable. Stay tuned, because this story is quickly turning into one of the most talked about royal moments in recent memory. Fascinating reporting is coming from NewsNation. NewsNation, a U.S. news channel, along with its head of entertainment, Paula Froelich, reports that Prince William could make changes that may reshape the monarchy. Princess Lilibet Diana has been christened. This raises questions for some observers. Why use royal titles for their children, Archie Harrison and Lilibet, if they strongly criticize the institution those titles represent? Some argue that the matter requires clarity and proof regarding certain claims. However, there is also an ongoing debate about privacy. Meghan Markle and Prince Harry have consistently emphasized their right to privacy, especially concerning their children. At the same time, others believe there is a public interest in transparency when it comes to individuals connected to the line of succession. This tension between privacy and public scrutiny continues to fuel discussion and controversy. The throne of this country, Buckingham Palace, had just released an announcement that didn't just make headlines. It exploded everywhere. The message, polished yet icy, confirmed that Prince William, backed by the Crown and the Privy Council, had rejected a private DNA report sent by Prince Harry. That report was meant to settle matters once and for all, confirming Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor's place in the royal records. But instead of resolving anything, the move sparked even more tension. The palace didn't just close the door, they slammed it, turning what was intended as a peace offering into a full-blown royal clash. The reaction sent a chill through the monarchy, creating a wave of uncertainty and intensifying the ongoing conflict. A standoff no one saw coming. This was never just about paperwork or family tension. It has turned into a bold display of royal authority. Prince William made it clear that any claims tied to royal lineage would require official verification under the Crown's direction. In simple terms, he is not accepting private reports. Instead, he is pushing for a new process handled by trusted UK officials, raising the stakes far beyond a personal matter. Meanwhile, claims surrounding Meghan Markle giving birth to Princess Lilibet Diana have sparked further speculation. Some commentators describe the situation as plausible deniability, suggesting legal caution in how statements are made. According to this view, wording in public announcements may be carefully chosen to avoid making definitive claims. Supporters of this perspective argue that such steps are taken to legally protect all parties involved. However, these interpretations remain controversial and continue to fuel debate, as there are still many unanswered questions. There are still too many unknowns. Then, of course, there's the claim that the doctor who allegedly delivered Princess Lilibet Diana closed her practice just 2 weeks after the birth. That part of the account appears incomplete, with a key sentence seemingly missing. Some commentators argue that this omission was intentional, suggesting that Meghan Markle avoided including certain details in official statements to reduce potential legal risk and maintain plausible deniability. However, these claims remain speculative and unverified. There is also ongoing criticism regarding titles. Some question why Prince Harry and Meghan Markle would use the titles of Prince and Princess for their children despite living outside the UK and not carrying out royal duties. Others argue that, as members of the royal family, their children are entitled to these titles regardless of where they live. The couple resides in Montecito, where they have built their post-royal life. Critics claim they benefit financially from their royal status, while supporters maintain they are simply navigating a modern, independent path. Overall, differing perspectives and ongoing speculation continue to fuel debate, with many questions still unanswered. They claim that much of the toxicity stems from their actions. What began as a family issue has now evolved into something far bigger, touching on protocol, legacy, and control within the monarchy. Now the focus is no longer just on rumors. It has shifted to questions of heritage, reputation, and what lies ahead for the royal line. The pressure is building, and discussions are spreading rapidly across royal circles. To understand how the situation escalated, it traces back to a key moment when Prince Harry's legal team reportedly sent a detailed dossier to Clarence House, outlining their case in full. What was intended to resolve tensions may instead have created the deepest divide yet within the Windsor family. The dossier from Prince Harry's team was far from light reading. It reportedly came packed with extensive details and claims, intensifying an already complex situation. It was reportedly packed with documents intended to address every doubt. There were pages presented as proof, including a paternity test from a US lab, a sworn statement from Meghan Markle outlining her timeline, medical records, and even a notarized note linked to a London hospital. Each page was designed to appear solid and convincing. The goal seemed clear: to bring Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor and Princess Lilibet Diana back into official royal standing. After years away, Prince Harry was reportedly pushing to reopen that door, seeking recognition and protection for his children once again. Some argue that fewer titles would reduce complications, suggesting there may be less risk of controversy or dispute moving forward. Less of a chance for a figure like Prince Andrew, now referred to as Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, to slip through, which means, as previously reported, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle could lose their titles, along with Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. Some of these claims go further, with unverified statements suggesting extreme scenarios, including allegations that have no credible evidence behind them. Such narratives have fueled online conspiracy theories, with some calling it Megpiracy, leading to renewed criticism and ridicule directed at the couple. It really boggles the mind for many observers when it comes to the issue of titles. For example, when Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor was first born, there were discussions that his parents initially did not want him to have a royal title, that he was expected to become a private citizen. Some viewed that as a positive step, believing he would not be a working member of the royal family, and would instead live a more normal life, build a career and step away from royal duties. Later, in the Oprah with Meghan and Harry interview with Oprah Winfrey, it was alleged that questions were raised about why titles and security were not granted. However, claims surrounding race have been widely debated and remain a point of controversy, with no universally accepted confirmation of intent behind those decisions. Insiders suggest that pressure had been building for some time, especially as life outside the royal system became increasingly complex for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. When the file reportedly reached Prince William, the reaction was described as calm, sharp, and firm. Reports claim he quickly involved senior advisors to review the material in detail, including legal experts and trusted royal officials focused on established protocols. Soon after, a firm response was issued, pausing any discussions about reinstatement. The stated reason was alleged inconsistencies in the submitted material, which reportedly raised further questions instead of resolving them. Since then, talk of a quiet internal review within royal circles has continued to circulate. The story has been spreading, with whispers about deeper concerns that have not yet been fully explained. Sources claim the documents point to a maze of confusion and contradictions, serious enough to raise eyebrows about how everything was handled. One of the first issues mentioned is a detailed review of Meghan Markle's pregnancy photos, which palace teams reportedly examined very closely. According to insiders, analysts studied multiple images from early 2019, comparing appearances from the same day. In one set, her baby bump appeared more pronounced, while in photos taken just hours later, it looked different in shape and position under similar conditions. That shift quickly became a talking point behind palace doors. The change did not go unnoticed. This case is not about whether you think the birth was real, whether you believe there was a surrogate, or whether you think Meghan Markle was wearing a prosthetic bump. The claim being made is that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were not truthful, and that Buckingham Palace also misled the public. On their behalf, there was a complete cover-up over the birth of Prince. Meghan Markle's Netflix series, released to the world this morning, is packed with, well, not really revelations. It is more of a rehash of old claims with a new twist. As it turns out, we have apparently been wrong all along. Britain is portrayed as a deeply racist place, where only the magnificent Meghan Markle stood up to it all, becoming the world's biggest victim. This crisis will not die down until what is described as the irrefutable truth comes out. Reports suggest internal reviewers took a deeper look at the images, using visual analysis tools to compare angles and structure. Their findings raised more questions than answers, sparking intense discussion among those reviewing the material. The material added fuel to ongoing speculation, with some questioning timelines and details surrounding the pregnancy. At the same time, another major point raised was the lack of publicly confirmed medical documentation from official royal physicians, something that had been standard in past royal births. That absence only pushed the conversation further, keeping tensions high and curiosity growing. To make things even more confusing, there were reportedly no discharge records filed in the usual public system, and nothing clearly stored in royal archives. According to long-standing tradition, royal births are typically documented with a high level of transparency, backed by formal confirmation from appointed medical officials. Any missing paperwork instantly raises questions about protocol. The silence surrounding medical verification did not go unnoticed. For years, it was brushed off as speculation, but now those gaps are being examined much more seriously. What once sounded like rumors is suddenly being treated as a possible breakdown in royal procedure, and that shift is turning heads quickly. Then came another twist: the birth certificate situation. Reports say Archie's certificate was updated weeks after it was first recorded, and that single change sparked a fresh wave of discussion. The update replaced Meghan Markle's name with her royal title in the Mother section, a move that stood out to many observers. While her team said it followed standard requests, others pointed out that similar changes were not made in other royal records. That detail, small as it may seem, drew serious attention and prompted officials to take a closer look at everything surrounding it. Just when it seemed things could not get more intense, a new angle began to emerge, this time tied to financial claims. Many royal watchers complained that Meghan Markle's social media posts, where the children are rarely shown, felt almost like a provocation toward King Charles III, who reportedly does not know the children, raising concerns about fairness. Apparently, all the royals were invited to Lilibet Diana's christening, but they declined to attend. Critics noted that it would have been unlikely for them to travel to California to embrace people who had been publicly criticizing them for the past 3 years. However, reports suggest that invitations were indeed extended. The alleged surrogacy controversy involving Prince Harry and Meghan Markle has now entered mainstream media discussions. A reported audit by cybersecurity specialists tied to palace operations allegedly uncovered an unusual financial detail that quickly drew attention. According to these claims, just days before Archie's birth was announced, a $499 transfer appeared from an entity labeled RQ-Boss LLC. The payment was said to be linked to a private medical facility, known for strict privacy services. That detail did not just raise questions. It shifted the entire tone of the review. What once seemed like minor inconsistencies suddenly began to look like part of a larger puzzle. Now, insiders suggest the focus is not just on documents anymore. It also involves tracing financial activity connected to the timeline. The transaction reportedly included encrypted references to a non-disclosure agreement tied to a third party. That discovery quickly drew attention. with claims that it could point to a confidential arrangement of some kind. If true, it would introduce a completely new layer to the situation and spark even more debate behind palace doors. At this point, the stakes appear even higher. Questions surrounding long-standing royal rules have begun to surface once again. There are historic guidelines about how royal lineage is officially recognized, and any uncertainty tied to that could carry serious weight. If those standards were ever challenged, it would not be a minor issue. It could have a lasting impact across the entire royal system. But the mystery did not stop there. The DNA test itself quickly became part of the controversy. The analysis was reportedly carried out by a small private lab in California, and questions arose almost immediately about how the samples were handled. Instead of a tightly controlled process, claims suggest they were delivered through unofficial channels, raising concerns about reliability. Further reports indicated that the lab was not recognized by key UK medical authorities or major international standards for legal DNA testing. That lack of accreditation made the entire result appear questionable in the eyes of observers. Palace reviewers, who were already on high alert, viewed the situation with increasing concern. Some critics went further, making controversial comparisons to Michael Jackson's children, suggesting they were shielded from public view in unusual ways. They argued that such an upbringing could have long-term effects. Though these opinions remain highly subjective and debated, others shifted focus to royal titles and broader implications. According to reports, Prince William is particularly aware of how prolonged public scrutiny and financial pressures can shape narratives over time. Observers noted concerns about how situations can escalate when left unchecked for years. Meanwhile, references were made to the California Birth Index, a database containing records of births in California. By searching the full official name of Meghan Markle, Rachel Meghan Markle, some claim the records suggest the situation became even more complicated, further fueling discussion and speculation. When details surfaced about who managed the submission, the process was reportedly overseen by a US-based attorney known for family-related cases, not matters tied to royal protocol. That alone raised eyebrows, with insiders questioning whether the approach matched the seriousness of what was being claimed. Then came a major twist. A leaked email that reportedly sent shockwaves through both legal and royal circles. The message, said to be dated January 22nd, contained a line that immediately drew attention. "We need optics, not science." Those words spread quickly, adding further tension to an already controversial situation filled with unanswered questions. The email's contents reportedly made the situation even more intense. It allegedly instructed Hall's team that if the California lab delayed results, they should look for another lab to quickly validate the findings on paper. The most striking part of the message was the suggestion that the report did not need to be fully precise, only strong enough in appearance. It reportedly ended with the line, "The palace will only see the documents." When questioned, Hall did not deny the email. Instead, he claimed it was taken out of context. By then, the impact had already landed heavily. Inside Buckingham Palace, the message reportedly raised serious concerns, with some viewing it as an attempt to shape perception rather than focus on accuracy. Just when things seemed complicated enough, a new timeline added further confusion. Records reportedly showed a DNA sample being flown from Los Angeles to London. At the same time, a matching sample was said to have been sent to a separate lab in Zurich, Switzerland. Here is where the story becomes even more unusual. The Swiss lab details reportedly introduced new inconsistencies that added to the uncertainty surrounding the entire sequence of events. The Swiss lab reportedly never completed any testing due to payment issues. That detail sparked fresh theories among insiders, with some suggesting it pointed to a backup plan in case the initial results did not hold up. Instead of clarifying the situation, each new detail appeared to make it more layered and harder to ignore. The story became even more complicated when leaked data from the Zurich lab allegedly labeled the sample as practice use only, suggesting no official handling process had been completed there either. One insider described the situation as resembling a game of smoke and mirrors, and that comment quickly spread. At that point, the narrative shifted again, with claims that a public appearance would be needed at some stage to confirm the situation in a visible way, even if the circumstances surrounding it remained disputed. The tone of the discussion became increasingly harsh, with claims and opinions being expressed about the situation and how it was presented to the public. These remarks included highly subjective and critical commentary about Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, as well as strong statements about how royal births are traditionally documented. The argument referenced long-standing historical practice dating back to 1688, when royal births were publicly attested to avoid any doubt regarding succession. At this point, the narrative no longer reads like a standard report. It begins to resemble a layered and highly contested account filled with interpretation, speculation, and conflicting perspectives. Buckingham Palace reportedly remained central to the discussion as the situation continued to develop. Buckingham Palace reportedly shifted its approach, treating the situation as a serious internal matter rather than a routine review. And just as tensions peaked, Prince William allegedly made a move that caught many off guard. He is said to have activated a little-known body called the Royal Commission for Lineal Ethics and Continuity, RLE. According to the narrative, this group, created decades ago, was designed as a safeguard for situations where questions about royal lineage arise. Until now, it had reportedly remained completely out of public view. For the first time in years, its full panel was said to be brought together. The group is described as including senior legal figures, historians, and trusted royal advisors, all tasked with reviewing one key issue: the official standing of Archie and Lilibet. Their role, as described, goes beyond simple verification and is said to touch on tradition, protocol, and the constitutional framework surrounding royal succession, protocol, and the future direction of the royal line itself. This investigation is described as extending beyond science, cutting into the core of royal identity, trust, legacy, and how tradition holds up in an era where digital records can be easily questioned. Reports claim the RLE has already requested full access to every version of the children's birth records, and that this is only the beginning of a wider review. The probe is said to be going further than initially expected, with additional areas now under examination, including travel records connected to the timeline, protocol, and the future direction of the royal line itself. This investigation is described as extending beyond science, cutting into the core of royal identity, trust, legacy, and how tradition holds up in an era where digital records can be easily questioned. Reports claim the RLE has already requested full access to every version of the children's birth records, and that this is only the beginning of a wider review. The probe is said to be going further than initially expected, with additional areas now under examination, including travel records connected to the timeline. Questions tied to inheritance and long-term family arrangements are also reportedly under pressure. With everything under review, even those areas are being examined more closely, adding another layer of uncertainty to an already tense situation. Reports suggest that Prince William has held private talks with the trustees of Princess Diana's fund, valued at over £2 million, about placing the Sussex children's share on hold until the review is complete. That move, as described in the claims, has pushed tensions to a new level, turning what was framed as a quiet inquiry into a more complex family and financial situation. According to the narrative, this would temporarily block immediate access to those funds while the review continues. The situation is described as adding serious pressure. Even if Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are currently earning their own income, claims suggest that financial support linked to royal ties is being reduced. Some commentators argue that steps are being taken to limit future reputational impact on the royal family, though these statements reflect opinion and remain highly contested. Other remarks in the discussion include strong criticism of both sides, with conflicting narratives about responsibility and public perception. There are also claims that Prince Harry views recent decisions as unfair, particularly because of the personal significance of family legacy. According to unnamed insiders, he has expressed frustration, believing the situation conflicts with what his mother, Princess Diana, would have wanted. One reported quote circulating suggests that Diana would not have supported such restrictions, though this remains part of ongoing speculation and commentary rather than verified fact. Concerns are said to outweigh personal sentiment in the way the situation is being framed. The idea being circulated is that emotional considerations are being set aside in favor of procedural clarity and formal verification. These comments have spread quickly, adding further intensity to an already highly charged discussion. Meanwhile, palace voices are reportedly maintaining a firm position, describing the matter as one of responsibility rather than emotion. The emphasis, according to those close to the process, is on protecting the integrity of the estate until all matters are clearly resolved, keeping both pressure and uncertainty elevated. This financial freeze is now being interpreted by some commentators as part of a broader strategy unfolding behind palace walls, as Prince William is said to take a more active role in overseeing the situation. Attention has also turned to King Charles III. Reports claim that a private memo written by the king has been brought forward at William's request. The document is described as carrying significant weight, with insiders suggesting it could influence the direction of future decisions. At the center of it is a phrase reportedly referencing the Sussex children and the threshold of trust, which has sparked widespread discussion among royal commentators. The memo itself is said to remain under high-level security as discussions continue around its relevance and implications. The memo is reportedly said to have been written after internal concerns were raised about timeline details. Some believe it may include early guidance from King Charles III on how situations like this should be handled, particularly regarding official recognition and long-standing royal standards. Sources suggest the king faced a difficult position, balancing family ties with royal responsibility. In the end, reports claim he chose to support a more structured approach, signaling confidence in Prince William's handling of the matter. If accurate, this would indicate a shift toward prioritizing duty and protocol as the situation continues to unfold. The Sussex side reportedly did not remain silent for long. The legal team of Meghan Markle is said to have responded with a counteraction filed in the High Court. The claim allegedly pushed back strongly, accusing Prince William and senior officials of overstepping authority, describing the situation as a lineage inquiry taken too far. The tone was reportedly firm, framing the matter as extending beyond tradition and into questions of legal rights. According to the filings being described, the argument focuses on international law, referencing the children's dual citizenship and raising questions about the limits of royal authority. If accurate, this development could move the situation beyond palace discussions and into a broader legal context. The situation is being described as moving into a much wider legal spotlight. Comments in the narrative include strong personal opinions about Meghan Markle, including claims about her public image and intentions, though these statements are subjective and not verified facts. It is also suggested that she would pursue legal action if her royal titles were affected, with debate continuing over how difficult it would be to remove such titles. Some remarks reflect frustration and criticism, but they represent opinion rather than established evidence. The discussion further claims that Meghan Markle has faced personal struggles in the past, though these are sensitive matters and widely debated in public discourse. The legal team is also said to be challenging the extent of royal system's authority, arguing that they may not have full legal power to decide such matters unilaterally. From their perspective, any move affecting the children's standing could have serious implications, not just symbolically, but legally as well. To support their case, the filing reportedly included personal moments and statements intended to present a clearer family narrative. One quoted line and supporting affidavit added an emotional dimension that quickly drew attention. Meanwhile, Buckingham Palace has remained completely silent. An insider suggests that this silence is intentional, with every step being carefully considered and calculated behind the scenes. The narrative suggests the royal divide has now widened, with tensions becoming increasingly difficult to ignore. Reports claim that Princess Anne is firmly backing Prince William, including support for a formal review to address the situation. At the same time, Prince Edward is described as more cautious, while still aware of the need to avoid prolonged public uncertainty. Even Queen Camilla is said to have taken a quiet but firm position behind the scenes, reportedly stating that the crown must stand taller than its scandal, a remark that has added further pressure to the situation. Meanwhile, Prince Harry is described in the reports as experiencing frustration and emotional strain. An alleged private conversation between the brothers is mentioned, though details remain unclear and unverified. The reported conversation did not ease tensions. Instead, it highlighted how far apart the individuals have grown, both personally and publicly. What began as questions on paper has reportedly developed into a wider conflict between duty and family, tradition and change. Behind Buckingham Palace doors, decisions are said to be carefully shaped, with observers suggesting the outcome could leave a lasting impact on the monarchy's future. The central question, as framed in the narrative, is no longer just about DNA or documentation. It is now about whether the House of Windsor can withstand such intense scrutiny without long-term damage. Reports claim the final RLE review, built from days of examining records, timelines, and testimonies, is now in the hands of three key figures, including Prince William. The review is now said to involve Princess Anne and the Lord High Chancellor, with the world watching closely for a decision that could significantly affect the monarchy's future. The discussion also shifts into commentary about royal roles and responsibilities, suggesting that institutions like Buckingham Palace cannot operate without clear structure and accountability. Further remarks reflect personal opinion about how royal children might be affected by titles and public attention, including concerns about scrutiny and potential bullying, though these statements are subjective commentary rather than verified facts. Meghan Markle, no longer styled as HRH, was safely delivered of a son, and she and her child are both doing well. This returns to the long-standing tradition of issuing a framed bulletin or gilded easel outside Buckingham Palace after royal births, a practice that has been in place since 1837. It is considered a formal public announcement of royal births. Examples from Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis included details such as doctors' signatures, birth weight, time of birth, and confirmation of royal family acknowledgement. The argument presented is that such outcomes are not only about two children, but are tied to the credibility and stability of the crown itself. As pressure peaks, Meghan Markle is rumored to be preparing a public response. After remaining largely silent, sources claim she has recorded a deeply personal on-camera statement expected to be released after the final decision. Insiders describe the video as emotional and direct, with her speaking about her experiences and the scrutiny she has faced. One reported line that has already drawn attention is, "I carried my children. I gave birth to them, and now they're being erased." The narrative being circulated frames the issue not only as one of lineage, but also as a broader debate about power, identity, and public perception. Fear and control are described as central themes in the ongoing narrative, with that moment expected to trigger a strong public reaction. The project is said to have been handled quietly through an independent outlet, with details tightly controlled until release. Behind Buckingham Palace doors, there is reportedly already discussion about preparing for the impact, as officials anticipate a significant public response once the statement is released. The situation is being framed as a broader struggle over truth, legacy, and royal image, now unfolding on a global stage. As attention builds around the expected statement from Meghan Markle, Prince William is also said to be preparing a response, described as quieter in tone but equally significant in intent. The response being prepared by Prince William is described as powerful and focused on duty above everything else. Behind the scenes, reports suggest a draft speech is already in place, centered on lineage and the future direction of the monarchy. Insiders believe the message could help define how the crown moves forward, particularly once the final decision is revealed. The address is said to have early approval from King Charles III, and is expected to outline key findings while clarifying the official stance going forward. This is not being framed as a routine update, but rather as a statement that could influence royal standards for years to come. Those familiar with the draft describe Prince William's tone as calm but firm, with a strong emphasis on responsibility. One reported line reads, "This decision was..." The line being circulated in the draft speech reportedly reads, "This decision was not made with malice. It was made with duty." According to commentators, that message is already generating discussion, as it portrays a leader prepared to stand by difficult choices. Meanwhile, a new development has added further speculation. Reports of a private jet scheduled to land in London, with no confirmed passenger list, have sparked questions about who may be arriving and what implications it could have for the unfolding situation. At the same time, commentary in the narrative shifts toward broader speculation about public roles and titles, particularly in relation to Meghan Markle, and how royal styling might affect future professional or public activity. This section blends commentary with unverified breaking news claims, so it should be treated carefully rather than taken as established fact. It refers again to Meghan Markle and claims about changes to a birth certificate. However, no reliable official records or confirmed public documentation support the assertion that such changes occurred as described. Civil registration records are legal documents and would normally be verifiable through official registries, not leaked or unnamed sources. The text also includes a highly informal, opinionated tone and additional claims about travel documents and individuals that are not substantiated. References such as Henry Mountbatten Windsor are used in a way that appears speculative and not confirmed by any authoritative source. Overall, this reads more like commentary or rumor-based narrative than factual reporting, and should not be treated as verified information. The narrative continues with claims about a private jet departing from California, reportedly carrying dependents but with no confirmed passenger list. It states that Meghan Markle is not mentioned anywhere in the alleged flight record, and suggests there has been no official confirmation, security update, or press coverage surrounding the trip. It further speculates, without verification, that Prince Harry could be traveling to the UK with his children, Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex, suggesting that such a move could significantly affect ongoing tensions. However, it's important to note that none of these claims are confirmed, and details about private travel, passengers, or official royal coordination would normally only be verified through authoritative or official sources, not unnamed whispers or speculative reports. Some believe it could be a deeply personal step, an attempt to show the children's place in the family through physical presence rather than documentation. According to circulating reports, the goal may be to present the children directly to King Charles III himself. It is being described in some commentary as an emotional and bold move, one that could potentially challenge everything currently under review. However, not everyone views it as a solution. Others caution that it could raise tensions further and lead to an even more intense confrontation. With so much unfolding behind closed doors, some insiders speculate it could also be a strategic distraction. In royal matters, however, outcomes are rarely straightforward or predictable. Outside the palace gates, the tension is described as intense. Media crews have reportedly gathered in large numbers, with cameras running continuously as they wait for what some outlets are calling a major royal development. Headlines circulating online use phrases like "royal verdict imminent" and "children in limbo," reflecting the heightened speculation. Public opinion appears divided. Some portray Meghan Markle as a modern mother facing pressure from tradition, while others frame Prince William as focused on protecting the monarchy's credibility. In this narrative, Prince Harry is positioned as being caught in the middle of conflicting expectations, with both sides of the debate growing louder and more entrenched. Between family and duty, Prince Harry is described in the narrative as being deeply torn, with the situation carrying significant personal and institutional weight. The relationship with his brother, Prince William, is also said to remain under strain, according to the claims being circulated. In this framing, if any decision were to favor Prince Archie of Sussex and Princess Lilibet of Sussex, it is presented as potentially marking a shift in how royal status is viewed. Conversely, a different outcome is described as having equally significant consequences for roles, titles, and future involvement in royal life. Overall, the narrative portrays this moment as one that could have long-term symbolic impact on perceptions of the monarchy, though it remains speculative and based on unverified claims. The message here is essentially wrapping up the narrative and turning it into engagement bait rather than reporting facts. It ends by asking viewers for opinions about whether the decision is right or risky and encourages likes, comments, and shares. That's a common style used in viral or speculative content to drive engagement rather than provide verified information. There's no confirmed evidence behind the claims being discussed throughout this transcript. Most of it is framed as reports, insiders, and allegedly, which means it should be